start by creating links to whatever business activities and arts and tech activities go on in the city, okay? And what they did is that they were very careful in choosing first tenants on the space. So it's not just anyone that could go in Alex Factory. The criteria was, please choose the whatever projects and companies and activities are most aligned with the concept of these buildings, okay? So that we can have some coherent kind of project. So again, aligning interests and aligning stakeholders and aligning a vision, and don't go too fast, okay? Do it slowly. We don't want to choose just anyone, just choose the right projects to come in, and then the whole thing follows. And start to foster connections between the companies and between the activists inside the space that we have. Try to work out that they work together for some projects, that people can meet, people can work together, and can exchange, etc. Okay, this is what they do. So this is some logos of the company. Particularly, there's a sort of a cafe with library, which is very famous in Lisbon, and I think is very famous in Europe, called Ler Devagar, which is a large space where you can pick up books and buy books and have drinks and all things, called Ler Devagar. It's really, maybe we could call it anchor projects, you know the concept, you know, when you build a mall, you know, you have to have anchors. This is sort of the same thinking, you know. You have to choose projects to be your anchor project, you know, the projects that help you to attract further projects, okay? So the first projects are key in order to develop the space, okay? So that this is what they did, okay? Again, the key projects, anchor projects, is Café da Fábrica, ACT, which is an acting school. Balneário is a sort of a space for architects and illustrators, designer. Care Design is a decoration company, and you know, Shoes Patológica is also design in Alex, with some photos. Okay, let's go on. Now, building linkage is also about building linkages between the floors. Okay, I found very interesting this, because being a professor, and for me this was very new, and I found out, wow, how do you do that? So they did that by stages. They start on ground floor, okay, and after ground floor, first floor, second floor. So they had some kind of a strategy on how to do that. I don't know if it has to be always like this, but it was like this for Alex Factory, and it was interesting to see that they thought about it, and they had a strategy. Now, building linkage, it's also about building linkage with the outside. So what Alex Factory did was that they had large international events like the OFF, the Zoom Talk, the Go Youth Conference, you know, bring inside the space very large conferences. We're talking about conferences with 2,000, 5,000 people over 1 week, okay? So they offered to organize inside their space. This helps to create international visibility and creates a space again for people to meet and work, okay? And this is complemented also with local events. One thing is interesting is that they have the Sunday street markets or Sunday street fairs inside the streets of Alex Factory, okay? So they attract people on weekends from other parts of the city to come into this space in order to know people and to have some coffee or whatever. But you know, this has to be animated. Someone has to organize and to manage this. So it's really how they do it. Then, of course, you have to have a community. You know, in some cases in Alex Factory, I even think that even before they had the space, they were already building a community. They often do it online by creating sites and inviting people to share ideas and concepts. And as this is not enough, they have to continue doing that on the physical space. So this is what they do. Again, by, for example, organizing meetups, lunch by floors, okay, which is a very nice kind of ideas. Okay, you have different kind of lunches and different floors, and then we invite people. You know, if you want cheese, it's first floor. If you want fruit, fifth floor. Okay, so that you invite people to move around and meet other people at other floors, at other buildings, and in order to exchange and to start working more together. And a dance forum. The theater was also actually quite a good initiative. You know, the whole idea that people work, but also they have some amusement after work, seems to be work very nicely at the LX Factory, because when people finish work, they can continue to be on the same space and be there a little bit. This is a picture of Co-work Lisboa, which is the co-working space on the 4th floor, right? A very famous place. This is a study we tried to do on social network analysis, because if you're talking about building a community and bringing people together, we wanted to know who are the key people. So a small exercise on social network can show you that there are at least 5 or 5 people which are based on the Co-work Lisboa, which are actually, Fernando is one of our team, which is one of the key people in the middle. And then we see that there are loads of other people that work on LX Factory that they don't seem to connect with anyone. So probably people that are in different buildings. And now we are trying to study how this connects with other parts of the city. You know, what are other people doing in other parts of the city, and this connects with other spaces as well. Okay, I don't have much time. Let me just say who are the key people: Lara, Fernando. Then the other step would be extend to the city, so they have these open days events and nights events as well. And okay, some pictures of the Sunday markets at the LX Factory here. And I think and just to finish, this is a very important thing that they are now doing at LX Factory, the going international stage, which is, yes, why not, for example, offer your space to be a space for filming adverts. For example, BMW is filming inside LX Factory the advertising, the publicity. And this is interesting because then you have images of LX Factory appearing on your TV every day on the adverts of BMW and you know, and other international brands. And I think this is actually Red Bull as well. Okay, I think this could be a good strategy to go. So thank you very much for your attention. I've taken too much of your time, and I'll be available later on.
Good afternoon from Bilbao. We are in Pula, but anyway, we are coming from Bilbao. Okay, yeah. So we are going to start, okay, with 2 videos because we think that it's the best way, okay, of showing you how this one. It doesn't matter. Excuse me. Excuse me. Well, I'm Siortza. I'm coming from Bilbao, okay, from the south. Sorosaure are work in progress. Okay, Sorosaure is a peninsula, okay, and it's going to be soon an island in Bilbao, okay? It's like the new Manhattan that we are going to have in Bilbao. So it's like the creative area that we have in the city. Okay, so we think that the best is going to be first, okay, to see some videos, okay? Because like that, you know, you will see much more whatever we do over there, okay? Tell you that the project started more or less, well, in 1999. It was Aceria Arteak, Okay, Aceria will, okay, well, let's see the video, yeah. Can you pass that? Like that. Can someone help me with that? No, is that fine here? But anyway, you can leave it like that. Well, it's not working, it seems. Okay, now. Okay, do you have this paper? All of you? Okay, so let me show you the second part, okay? The back part. Okay, this is the TAP, the area, okay? So, at the TAP, we have different pavilions, okay? Okay, thank you, Anetsu. We have different pavilions, okay? So, for example, we have, as you have seen, you know, on the video, the TAP lab. And at the TAP lab, we have different projects, artistic projects, okay? Creative projects, co-workers, entrepreneurs, okay? Then we have another area, which will be the ATC02 area, where we also have residents that you know are creative also people. But the difference is that in the first area, it's like the co-working area, and the second area will be like containers, okay? And then we have like the terrace in the middle of everything, in where all the different projects, all the different pavilions, all the different creatives of the sub-area, okay, they get together. So it will be like this networking area, okay? And then, of course, we have the loft, where we have our offices, okay? And then, okay, we have the Aceria Aretoa. Okay, the Aceria Aretoa is the one that I was going to tell you, before putting the video, okay. ZAP was born thanks to Aceria Aretoa. Aceria, if we translate it, okay, it's, in English will be steel or iron, okay? Okay, at the neighborhood of Deusto, in which we are located, okay, over there, the traditional industry was iron, steel, and the naval industry, okay? So it starts there, So the name, we will, translate it like iron or steel. And Aretoa will be like a place, okay? A place for the arts. So I just wanted, to show you, what does it means. And ZAP, Zorrozaurre are work in progress. Zorrozaurre is nowadays the name of the peninsula, which is going to be in the future this kind of island, okay? Thank you. So in 2008, okay, was born ZAP for that, for giving space and places to this kind of entrepreneurs, but of the cultural sector, artistic entrepreneurs. So it's a little association, and it's a movement, an ecosystem for those kind of people. So there you have the peninsula, the one that I wanted to show you, okay? Okay, and it's true. Come here and help me, because I'm getting like...
I'm sorry, hello, this is the ZAP team. We rock the scene, as you see, we free ride. So mainly, I don't know, how many of you are from Pula? Okay. How many of you know Musil, the peninsula, the military peninsula? Okay. Pues there is a peninsula here that was military, okay, and this can be a possible evolution. So this is in Bilbao, and it's a peninsula that now, because of a master plan, is becoming an island, because the river grows and it floods, the water goes and takes half of the houses. So mainly because of that, they are turning this peninsula into an island with a master plan. And in the meantime, it's already taken like 18 years. So this great, the crew of the ZAP, they managed to make a meanwhile, to give a life to those buildings. So Siorcha keeps on going.
So it's a temporary use space, yeah. Okay. So there you have, okay, different images of how it used to be before, okay, and how is, nowadays the different spaces that we have. Okay, we have to say that, the spaces, the pavilions, okay, they were bad, but anyway, anyone could enter, and try to do something in. But thanks to the different institutions that we have, like the Basque government, etc., they gave us some money, and we could, rebuild a little bit, the different spaces for these creatives that we have, in the area. Okay. So you have different spaces, like that you can see. This is like the terrace area. Garabia, the one that you have on the right, is the space where, okay, normally we use it, yeah, for the conferences, for any kind of exhibition, for the markets that we have. As Portugal said, as Manuel said, we also have, during the weekends, and as you have seen on the videos, we have different markets during every single Sunday. But they are like thematical markets, okay? So for example, we have like, yeah, like theme, yeah.
Theme markets, like theme.
Well, okay, theme, thematical, okay. Okay. So, for example, this weekend we have like the ecological market, next Sunday we are going to have like the motorcycle market, etc. So we are all the time attracting people, from the area, from the region, and from different places and countries also, because nowadays they are coming also from different countries because they are, listening, hearing that we have, different projects, not only in SAP, also, at the peninsula. Okay. Yeah. So this is the co-working space, let's say it like that, which is open. Here, the loft, or the AC012, I think that's the name, if I'm not wrong. So you can see there the different containers, where different, creators, artists, they work on that. So this is the peninsula. To peninsula. So from Bilbao to Pula, as I said, peer to peer, okay? So we have the creators, okay, in residence. So if anyone, you want information also of residencies, etc., you have here, all the information, for get in touch with us, and for coming also to Bilbao, or also, our creatives, they can come here. And there you have, all the contact, that probably, you will need for
getting in touch and coming to our great peninsula. Okay, so because we rock and we do lots of things. So just to summarize, if you didn't understood us properly, because yes, claro, we speak very fast. So mainly the issue comparing with here, like to make a little bit of a bridge, is like the owners of the land are private persons, like are individuals. So here the land is owned by the state, by the militaries. So mainly all the logistics that had happened to get the spaces has been kind of all the time like trying to speak with the landowners after get a license for the public institutions because they are not implementing the public master plan because they have a great plan of making a huge new neighborhood with not taking into account what the neighbors wanted. So mainly what is been each modulo, each space that you have seen this evolution in time and years takes its own identity because each space has taken different time and different kind of negotiation with the owners to be able to give a use to them. So the one with the boxes of the trains, of the boats, they are used for small businesses. And they live like a community and they have a shared hall in the middle. So there is a bakery, there are musicians, there are a flamenco artists, there are sleeping there because it's a small hostel. Another one, the Carabia, is like a theater. And so that's it. And after we host residences and we love to travel and to make great projects, so contact us. Zap.
Hello.
Hello.
I am Christoph from Kitev, from Oberhausen.
And I'm Agnieszka.
So what we want to say first of all, that is for us really a pleasure to be here in Pula. We have learned really a lot from your experience here. It is an amazing space. It's huge, unbelievably huge, and even the empty spaces what you have here, the potential, it's unbelievably huge as well. So what we try or what we can bring in this discussion is, let's say, something smaller scales and probably some tools how we arrived there with what we did in some works to get the confidence or the trust from the stakeholders.
Hello?
So it works.
Okay. So first of all, maybe a short introduction to Oberhausen. Oh, it's this one. Okay. No?
We can share this microphone probably. We share this in the center. Okay. We will try to do our best.
Okay. So a small introduction to Oberhausen, that, so you might know where we are. Okay. So it's in Oberhausen's in the Ruhr area, which is very. It used to be the European biggest industrial area, and it's still. They are very huge companies and of steel production and coal mining, but it's now since a lot of years it's in a structural change. So it's somehow a depression is on this area, and a lot of companies broke down, and there's a big structural deindustrialization.
They call it even Germany's Detroit.
Yeah.
So here, this is our place where we talk, and what is probably a bit unique even in this topic, that we're dealing with a building what is still in a high public interest. It is the main station. It's a running main station, and this is a main station, let's say, not a for small trains, it's for ICE and fast trains. It's like DGB or other trains, so it is an important main station. And with what we are trying to deal there inside, how we can protect the buildings against that every building or main station becomes shopping malls or more unified in each main station where you go, you have the same shops, McDonald's and Starbucks, and how we can try to conserve spaces there in these public places for culture.
Yes. No, this way. Yeah. So this is the section plan, and but before we go very close to the building and how we managed to or how we did the reconstruction and the refurbishment, we want to show you some project which we did in advance, which are somehow a toolbox for us, how the first steps to
Wait a second. Here, from what you can see on the top, these are water tanks in the tower, and it is really particular because why these huge water tanks? They was used to keep the water in to the trains, these old trains. That means the city is quite young, have 150 years. They got the industrial built this city, and to have the power or the liquid or let's say the benzene or the petrol for the trains. They built this tower with these water tanks. So they with this water they fill the trains, and the city it was built around the main station. So we have on the top these huge water tanks, and then other 3 levels what we try to deal and to keep out of the interest of the railway.
Okay, next one.
So here we see the tower behind, And outside we say some sculptures. So what we do with art, we try to keep in this place with art, like with really artistical tools. So we built a huge wood sculpture, what we bring on the top, on the end of the main station, and let's say to make it more poetic.
And one important thing is, so I mean, this was we are not originally from Oberhausen, so that was one competition, and we started to work there, and our method is always not like normal architects and let someone else do and work on the buildings, but we do a lot of things by ourselves. And here you see all this. Down here in the left corner, for instance, metal work and it's a lot of things we do really by our own.
It means we wasn't there in a steel factory to do the steel work. We produced the light by our own, and the budget was really small. It was 50,000 euros. And we did all a huge installation, light and sculpture around the main station. That was
with really heavy objects, you know, like 50 tons of formal steel production elements. And okay, but next.
So this was important. We was try to keep in this tower, and they give us just a short year, and they said, okay, we know that don't really go forward this project. Why? Because the Oberhausen like city is one of have the biggest debt, and they are not allowed to go forward with their own project. So we will never find the resources or the money to keep forward our idea, even if they say, okay, they let us try out for 1 year in the beginning. So, and we start with architect students. There is a huge film festival in Oberhausen. It's one of the famous festivals in Germany for short film, and we produced with the students, like here, a small pocket kino, what you can put up, and then in the parking place we put some projections, so on. We did so small intervention in the public space to have attention.
We made a lot of temporary use. It's also in the main station, and art and exhibitions, and a lot of work in advance. Just before we started all this the big project with the tower.
And for this we didn't have money, so we always trying to involve others, like for the material that we can have this free, or how we can find with cheap resources and use this. So we don't have behind the municipality or the other resources to financial this. So, and one of the most important thing where we become or where the citizen fall in love with us, it was the clocks on this tower. It didn't work for 10 years. So it was symbolic for the city. You arrive in the city and the time stays still. So they didn't work. And the big enterprises like the railway, they had other commercial interests, and the city was not allowed because there is not their own building to do something inside. We had this short time to try out, and so we fixed by our own, about any public money, these clockers, and let them run with our LED experience in different colors. And so now the citizens, now the clocks runs still now, they are on time and full of color, and they are always they are happy that this is fixed.
Yeah. And in that one, also other projects, because in 2010 Oberhausen, the Ruhr area was European cultural capital, and so for this in that time we made this also next to the clocks. We also video installation in this tower. So we had a lot of public attention. Thank you.
So here you can see these huge water tanks, and these huge water tanks from top, and yeah. Okay, 3 minutes. Now, I think we go inside of these levels what we seen before. It was before it was like this, and then we was starting to let's say we call it muscle hypothec. With our own engineering, architect engineering, what costs nothing, with our work, what we did by our own, we can show that we will arrive there. So we had some monies, and then the other we did it by our own.
So maybe now it's the time also to say a little bit like about the funding. So we found funding not from the municipality, because they are the poorest city of Germany, but from the region, and so they gave us some funding, and but it's all in Germany with fundings, but probably everywhere it's like 20% at least has to be your own contribution, no? And so our contribution in this 20% was like the architect's work. Some part of this was made by us for free. We had a lot of sponsorship from companies. For instance, this tower has this 3 floors. Where we installed floor heating, but it was donated to us, and with all these things we could show this 20% of the whole sum.
And all the other what was over cost, we did it by our. So here we install a sponsored floor heater, what we before not calculated, and even so we was bringing in the roof. So we go forward. Yeah. So it is here. We cooked for the workers, and even from as our group. So we did the most of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are really thousands of hours of voluntary work, and.
So this was then when we was finished, and we said, okay, we make an opening.
It took us 2 years, all this building site.
So now you see the renovation inside, how it becomes the spaces inside, and yeah, I think we are finished.
Hi, I'm Dinko, I'm an architect, and I heavily support the initiative from Dušica and you as organizers to create a sort of legal framework for this temporary usage of buildings, because most of the things that I'm going to show you now are legally problematic. And so this makes a lot of problems to ourselves as architects, because most of the things that we are doing are actually, it's the most difficult part is to find a way how you can make this put this risk to the minimum, that actually you can allow people to enter in those spaces and somehow be comfortable with this idea. This we are going to show in this year Venice biennial. The title is "We Need It, We Do It." We really do need these spaces for arts and culture and society, new forms and different forms of society, and we are actually doing it, no matter it's risky or it's kind of painful, or it can be kind of problematic. It is actually somehow we are really taking the things on in our own hands and start trying to build it. Yeah, I feel strange speaking in a microphone. I cannot, because of translation, I cannot speak in. Okay, so at the beginning I would like to show you 3 examples, just as an introduction to this general, to this wider topic that to actually those examples that are that you are going to show in Venice, just to give you like 3 concepts. First project is that we did in 2001. Slaven as well was a part of this project as a chief curator. The idea was to, into the fair hall, to put a large exhibition, use the containers which were damaged during the war, and create. Maybe I can use this. Yeah? How do I? And to create like a non-stop living city of arts and culture. The military helped us to, the army helped us to put the containers inside this fair hall, and we created. Sorry. And this was the layout of the whole exhibition space, which was not just an exhibition space, but it was also a place to eat, like a living space for happenings, for skates, for comics, for presentations. This was supposed to run 24 hours a day for a couple of weeks, and in the containers and around the containers there were supposed to be artists placed over there. And actually we have built this, and the artist has inhabited this, and the audience and the users have inhabited this space. But this idea of that we have a constant living space kind of let over to the users, to the people who's gonna use it on their own way, somehow failed. There were problems, there were things that were stolen or broken, or people were behaving really freely in this space because it was really motivating them to behave as free as possible. But it was impossible, it was unsustainable. Somehow we really had to close it and bring in the normal working time already a second day. So the first issue was the first lesson that we learned from this project, that is that we need some kind of regulation, but a special kind of regulation which is not regulation from the museum, but something that will allow these processes to grow, to happen, but still that we can, that there is some kind of control inside this process. Yeah? Second project is a small project on the island of Vis. Recently it has become very popular and somehow people like very much these abandoned modernist buildings, and we find them kind of sexy and attractive, that we use them and somehow work with them one way or another. So we found this building, it was 2001, and it was in really poor condition, but it's one really a jewel of Croatian modernist architecture. And of course, it's a typical way of doing things. We started to clean this, we were sleeping there, living there, playing with this building as a little toy. We were really spending a lot of time over there, and lighting it up. At the end, we ended up in making architectural projects, putting some proposals. But the main issue here was why it actually didn't succeed, and the main lesson what we learned from this example is that if you want to reuse some buildings, or if you find some spaces that are abandoned and that you have an initiative basically to do something with those spaces, is first you don't design spaces, but you rather design the inhabitant. Inhabitants, meaning the organization, the body or the group that can use this space for a longer period. You know, these processes doesn't start with the building, but they should start with the real need. Third project is a project that part of our group was also participating. It's a rehabilitation of the one block in the center of Zagreb, and it was basically Teo is also here as one of the members of this initiative. Basically, it was the showcase. It was supposed to be an example of the need of independent cultural scene especially in Zagreb, but also in Croatia. And it was an expression of the need for a space for this independent culture that didn't actually have its own proper space. It was, of course, organized there, and it was functioning for some time. But the thing is, the main lesson again from this project was that if you want to use these spaces on a temporary way, if you want to really inhabit it, if you want to make it sustainable, you need to somehow ensure a sort of collaboration. You need to bring in these internal politics inside the group. You need to organize, make actually the organization that will be able to use such a space. So out of so these are kind of three main lessons by which we entered into those three projects that we are showing in Venice this year. One is Dom Mladih in Split. It's a youth center in Split. It's a 30-year-old promise to the youth of city of Split that they will have a cultural center for contemporary art. And it is abandoned until that moment. It basically has stopped during the construction in some moment. And when we came there, it was 2004. It was in such a really poor condition. For a couple of for a couple of occasions, it was squatted. It was very problematic. Some people get injured there. This is a big. It's kind of. It's a large mistake building. Basically, it has a double. It has a double auditorium connected with a stage. This is 22-meter high. This can house like more than 1,100 seats in this auditorium. So this is really oversized for the city of Split, especially for the culture that exists today in the city. And it was really a big question mark in the city for many years. What we did when we came there, we actually suggested a sort of minimum interventions by which we could bring this building into the condition that some people can start to use. This is something that is in a software industry is called this minimum viable product, something that is kind of in a shape that you can start to use, but actually it's not. It doesn't have all the features, and it's really kind of questionable. Can you really put it on the market? Yeah. The main idea was to break down this idea of a centralized or centrally organized building. This is a central scheme from 1978. Basically, this is a stage, two auditoriums connecting it. Gray are the spaces for staff and actors, ensembles, and so on. And the red ones are the spaces for the audience. They meet themselves on this so-called magical fourth wall. It's like a TV screen in between the audience and the staff here. Yeah? So this was the original scheme, and what we did is we actually have fragmented this building into the several autonomous places from the beginning that has two entrances, one for the audience, another one for the staff. We created a building with 10 entrances, completely fragmented the whole thing, and trying to make them achievable or how to say, or occupable for some people that they can start to use them slowly. And I'm going to show you now the examples how we actually did this small interventions. So this is the ideogram showing the fragmentation of the building. This is not anymore one single building, but it has rather many small buildings inside one building. Okay, the model showing the same. For example, initially there was supposed to be a large snack bar here for the big events for the audience of 1,000 a few hundred people over there, with a large cafeteria here, which was really nonsense. And in some moment, okay, we said, okay, this is really out of question that we keep this space. It's completely unsustainable. We said, okay, we're going to create a small dance and performance venue here with its own storage and its own functionality. But out of this kitchen space, we're going to create an art cinema with its own entrance and its kind of lobby. It's going to be a bar for the whole complex because this is a proper size for that. So we did, basically the initial idea was, it was in this condition. So the idea was to use some already existing material, stairs and projectors and so on, and to create an initiative by basically with no money to create this space. The final layout was supposed to be like this, but we knew that there is no money to do it here. But then first this initiative didn't succeed fully, but at the end we managed to bring it into this condition. You can imagine what it means for the architect to work in such a process. Basically, most of the architects, they stop in this condition. They say, okay, this is something that it should look like, and then you finish it. You know? Instead of that, we were first coming up with this idea to make it basically for free, and then we make another project on some other way. Yeah? Then we have now built this kind of intermediate condition of the space. So basically, we are constantly involved into this process of renovation and reconstructions and small additions and reparations of this building. I think that's the only way how we can actually keep this building alive. So there are numerous really small improvements inside the building. Let's say what is example. So this was the existing conditions. Through several iterations, we brought this building into kind of the most important exhibition space inside in the city of Split. There's a large auditorium starting from this point. Now we ourselves were organizing a conference there, basically being the first one to use this large auditorium as a concrete beach, basically there. And now it's in this condition, capable of bringing in capable to that some other events can be organized here. Small auditorium, it's always again following the same principle. What is interesting in this way of occupying the building and in kind of promoting such a process is that some kind of unpredictable things can happen. This is a free climbing wall inside in the main stage. There is no way that somebody would build a free climbing wall in the theater space if this was going in an official way, you know. But because we are really all the time inventing our own rules here, and then because this is all basically illegal, then this is possible, yeah, inside. And this is still, and all right, yeah. So and there is just this image just to show that there is a need. So we really need this, you know. And we are really doing it. All right. Besides this, this is also members of our team here. The idea is not to close this process for us as architects, not to keep it, not to keep the full control, but rather to give all these people and many others a possibility that they intervene into the project, that they somehow imagine what could be the future of this building in one way or another, or specific spaces one by one. So, so building also from outside, it's also a place. Its facade is also space for expression or space for action. There is no mercy to this building. There is no kind of there is no need that it keeps really beautiful and somehow preserved, and it's kind of closed in its own logic, architectural logic, but it's rather a device for arts and culture and society. Another building, it has a little bit different history. It's a building in Zagreb. It's a building of former factory. This building is really, I mean, building itself is not especially very, very interesting, but it's interesting what's happening inside there. It was squatted at the beginning by a cultural initiative, and then a club, music club, and our organization Močvara Urk, they have also squatted or actually entered into another space inside the building, and several other initiatives were starting to use it. But in some moment, also many initiatives from the city of Zagreb managed to organize with and establish together with the city of Zagreb a hybrid institution, basically where the small initiatives, cultural initiatives, they bring the content and the energy to this institution, and the city provides, basically gives the space and some money to run this place. So this institution also has somehow got this large hall of this building. So from the beginning, it was a place which already has this music club and organization in this space. So this hybrid institution in another space, and also an artist into the third place. So it was already a complex there. And interesting thing is that this space is constantly being used, and it's again illegal. You know, it is basically a factory legally. Nobody should be there. There is no It doesn't fulfill any requirement for the safety, for the heating, for ventilation, for whatever it's needed, that you can actually organize a cultural event inside this space. And they have more than 400 events during the year, and it's hundreds of tens of basically thousands of people during the year coming there. Yeah? Architectural project there was not to bring the not to somehow fulfill all these needs which they have by an kind of addition on the building that would change the logic of the building, but we rather somehow listened to the processes that were happening there and trying to make the extension of the building following this logic. So even in a formal way, this main construction of the building, which was really very, very rigid industrial construction, we have continued it on both ways, that somehow, basically, it looks like nothing has, I'm going to show you briefly this, yeah? It looks like nothing has changed. So this is the, so this is the original building here, and basically we have continued this logic of the space on both of the construction on both ways. Yeah? Also, if we are talking about the way how place is being used, so it's all again autonomous places which have their own separate entrances. We decided that each of the spaces inside the building, even the technical spaces, could be used as spaces for performances, for small things going on, and so on. So basically, each space is capable of being a production and a presentation space in itself. Yeah? So it's again a sort of complex of different small places that can be used in a different ways. Yeah? It's, as I said, it's a living space. It's fully functional space, but we are as architects trying to somehow just give an opportunity that this becomes legal, it becomes fully functional. It's somehow we're trying to support this process. You know, in this condition, the project functions as a tool to achieve this legal condition inside the building. It was not ordered by the city of Zagreb, who is actually the owner of the building, but it was really an initiative to help these processes which are happening inside the building, that they can continue to grow and in its own way. As far as I know, the project is well accepted from the users, exactly because of this, that we are not changing the paradigm that they are having there, but rather to simply supporting them in their own growth. All right. And there is the idea, of course, that it can be extended, but that's another story. Yeah. So this is 4 minutes. Okay. I'm about to finish. Yeah. All right. So just to get an image of the transformation of the building, and as the last project that we are showing in Venice, I would like to show you the project for the city of Rijeka and the museum and the story of Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art. Slaven, who is the director of this museum, would be probably a better person to tell you about this, but I'm here on stage. So the idea was, basically initial idea was to place a Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art inside this building and to make it double in size and to make it cost like 10 million euros or more to put it there. And basically all the projects and designs were done for this. And the project was somehow kept on a shelf for many years, and the museum has its own spaces in some rented, small, completely inadequate space until now. And somehow, when Slaven came to as a director of the museum, then he said, "Okay, that's nonsense that we keep dreaming about this large, oversized, super expensive project. Let's move out the museum from the space which is completely inadequate." let's find a place for the museum, where we're gonna start to grow as an institution, and as audience, and as a society, and so on. So basically, this space, this building was selected as something where museum could easily move in slowly. It can occupy the spaces in one by one, or they can occupy a small amount of space as a beginning of the museum that could be placed in the building in total here. It is a really interesting moment because we are talking about an institution, an official institution that is taking the principles of this independent cultural scene as its main working principle to solve its spatial problems. So we started with this initiative that by a small amount of money, again at this minimum viable product, we put the museum inside this building. Okay, that's the building, and it was empty, but still, again, it was not fully empty. You know? There is already a need for this space. This is a youth council of Benčić, so there are young people organizing already cultural events there and art programs, which means that people have already recognized this space and they are using it as its own. Of course, architectural project is a simple solution that somehow just bringing elevators, making a minimum interventions that it can function, and this was a project to occupy the whole building and make fully functional museum. And it was okay. Then the situation where we would put the elevators inside the building, connect it all over, make it fully functional. But the thing is that now we have another owner on these two upper floors, and we are actually allowed only to use those two ground floors for the museum. So we did another project basically just for those two floors down there. Yeah? All right. And but the thing is that at the moment there is no money also for this lower two floors, so we are making a separate small interventions just to bring it in the condition that the museum can move in without the elevators, without the proper lights, without the proper all the museum features. Of course, without this second floor and the depot floor and so on, but this museum will be in the condition that it can actually, this building will be in the condition that they can receive museum as an organization, and the programs can start inside this building. Because we don't have a large room inside the building for large pieces and events and so on, we are creating outer three-dimensional hall, which will be just very cheaply to have space for big pieces and spectacles and so on. Yeah? So that's from the project that was supposed to be occupying the whole building. We are now just making these small interventions at the beginning to bring the museum in as soon as possible and for the smallest amount of money as possible. And now just a couple of principles for this is the last slide, and that we have somehow to which we have come during this process of learning from by doing, is when we are working on such abandoned buildings and especially for the culture, you need to have a kind of process approach to design. It means that you are not focused on the object, you are not focused on the aesthetics and something that will be finished in a moment when your design has been built, but rather you have to be involved from the beginning, even before the brief for the project. You have to be involved and follow the project through all the line and its own living, and be capable of and open to numerous changing during this process. Yeah. Second thing, that the building is the device. Again, it's not an object which is you can simply respect, but it's a device that you use to achieve some goal, to achieve some cultural change or a new type of society, whatever you need. Yeah? The functions of the spaces need to be open, so that it's any moment it can be changed. it means that the space is rigid. It's very, very heavily and strongly organized. It means that it's really easy to change its functions inside that. Yeah? And the spaces should be autonomous as much as possible, individual spaces. And it has to be a kind of idiot-proof. It means that anybody can easily come in and use it without too many explanations, without large stuff to run it. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. And just as a last slide, here we are in Rojc. This is Dom Mladih, this is Pogon, and museum. It's not here, but of course this is just a few examples of many spaces like that in Croatia that are now under same processes. Thank you.